Well, it's Wednesday, and you all know what that means. That means New Japan continues with more of the G1, but however, we will focus on who will be the final two quarterfinalists to be involved in the quarterfinal matches in the G1 Climax. I think we're all excited to hear. But also, we have AEW Dynamite. We have the FTW title on the line. We will hear from the Bucks if they will accept the challenge by FTR at Wembley Stadium for the AEW World Tag Team titles. We even got, for our main event, the AEW Women's World title on the line. Anna Jay versus Hikaru Shida. And then, of course, before anything else, before that, we will be in fact reviewing the much recent events with Stardom, continuing with more of the 5-star Grand Prix with Day 4 and Day 5. And then after that, we got some news updates to share what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod. So if you are new to the channel, welcome. If you like this channel, please subscribe to us. You'll be getting many reviews from various promotions, not only with AEW, NXT, but plenty others. And if you like this episode, please give us a like or give us a nice comment down below. So let's get this show on the road. Our first review will be Stardom with Day 5 of the 5-star Grand Prix. This one recently took place on the 5th of August in Komatsu. Now keep in mind, if you guys are new to the channel, let me review what the 5-star Grand Prix is. The 5-star Grand Prix is an annual tournament. It's only done by point-based system. You win a match, you get 2 points. You lose a match, you get no points. However, if the time limit exceeded, let's say for 20 minutes, that means each person will get a draw in that person. The same thing with a count out or something like that. So let's get started with this one. But first, we're going to do the non-tournament matches first. Our first match, we have Hanako versus Sareee. Now, Hanako is a very strong individual, but also one of the most rookier members of the roster, taking on Sareee, who is a very strong little woman. Don't let the size fool you, because that's who she is. However, she was able to pick up a good win when she applied the Dragon Sleeper on Hanako, and just like that, she picked up a good win. Next up, we have Oedo Tai, consisting of Rina, Momo Watanabe, and Natsuko Tora. They take on the members of Queen's Quest, Miyu Amasaki, Hina, and Lady C. So this one is a very interesting matchup, because every time I see either Rina or Hina, the twin sisters, they're always opposite sides of each other. As you know, Rina is the current future of Stardom champion. I know Hina will love nothing more to challenge her for the belt, but right now Rina does have a title match in the next New Blood show against Waka, so we'll see when those two will clash. But however, this match ended exactly like it was going to be, but Rina picking up the win on her sister by applying the Pink Devil on her, and just like that, Oedo Tai won. Next up, we got the members of Gadzai, Ami Suri, Saki Kashima, and Suri, taking on stars Hanan, Azuki, and Mayu Iwatani. Basically nothing big on this particular match. However, I know that anybody, for example, they probably would have pinned Mayu Iwatani, since she's the current IWGP Women's Champion. that would have been one thing, but it's not. It was, of course, Suri with the ground, what was it he called again? Suzaku onto Hana to pick up the win. The next up, we have a three-way tag team match. First team, we have Megasis, or as we know her as Megan Bane, and Mai Sita taking on Club Venus, Mariah May, and Mina Shirakawa versus DDMs, or as we call them, Bella Mafia, Tekla and Julia. Now, the X factor of this match is the much bigger threat in the match. The bigger threat here is Megasis, aka Mega Bane. She is the much stronger and bigger individual that many of the other competitors are like, nope, I don't want no part of it. So that sort of puts it in a good storytelling. So basically, they know they have to deal with her, but they have to try to avoid her. So much of the two stronger units, such as Club Venus and DDM, will probably most likely try to pick up a win by pinning Mai Sita, but of course Mai Sita will try to apply her usual tricks. But in the end, it was of course Megasis who picked up the win by applying the F5 on Tekla to give them a good win. Now, we start with our first match of the 5-star Grand Prix, starting with the Blue Stars block. We have Azumi versus Mirai. Now, Mirai did pick up a good win in day 3 against Hana, but the obvious question is, can she try to pick up the momentum against Azumi, who is, as you know, not only a high speedster, but she knows how to do some groundwork as well. And I thought it was a pretty decent match, but in the end, it was of course the jumping lariat by Mirai that picked up the win against Azumi. So she gets the total of 4 points, while Azumi 0. Now we jump into the Red Star blocks. We have Starlight Kid and Suzuki. Now, these two hasn't faced each other since last year in, ironically, the 5-star Grand Prix. Now, Starlight Kid has always been fascinated and had more of a strange, not bond with her, but more like curiosity towards her, because if you guys know, Starlight Kid is not a fan of Julia one way or the other, but knowing that Zuzu has a connection with her, that puts her in a very different curiosity. Not to mention, both of them are about almost the same age and also the same generation. But last time, of course, Starlight Kid lost miserably to Zuzu. But the obvious question is, can Starlight Kid pick up a win against her? I mean, look, Zuzu is one of the most toughest competitors. She didn't become tough overnight. She had to be tough when she was involved in hardcore and death matches. That's what she is. I mean, if you guys remember, it was Zuzu in prominence that defeated Starlight Kid and the other members of Oedo Tai for the artist belts. But luckily, Zuzu was able to pick up a good win when she applied a pretty beautiful German suplex onto her. And of course, the humiliation by Starlight Kid, knowing she couldn't even beat her. But yeah. Now, our main event, we continue with more of the 5-star Grand Prix. This is Blue Star. Oh, hold on. Let me go back a little bit. For the between the points between Zuzu and Starlight Kid has 0. Zuzu just 2 points. So basically, she only has 1 win since the start of the tournament. Now we jump in back to the Blue Stars. We have Sayuro Noi and Maika. Now, many wrestlers who know the reputation of Sayuro Noi will love nothing more to have a crack at her, and I'm sure Maika had that distinct feeling too. Not to mention hearing the stories about her from the leader of DDM, Julia. I have to say, this was one of the most strongest matches ever. Like, they were willing to go the distance, even to fight each other outside. But unfortunately, this match ended in a time limit draw. I think it was 20 minutes. However, Sayuro Noi said they would love to have another match against each other. But Maika said that she would rather win the 5-star Grand Prix. She is confident enough to believe she's going to walk out as the winner to win the red belt. But once she does, but of course she has a new catchphrase, it's refreshing. So basically, she's 100% confident that she will walk away as the winner. But keep in mind her other competitors, even Mina Shirakawa mentioned there's a potential believe that she could be the winner. But there's others that spoken, maybe Suzuki could be the next one. Who knows how this is going to go. But we'll pay attention very closely throughout the entire tournament. So let's move on right now with day number 5. Okay, day 5 of Stardom's 5-star Grand Prix. They're in this one. They're in Hamamatsu. So let's get started with the non-tournament matches. Now, our first one, we have Oedo Tai, consistent of Rina and Momo Watanabe taking on DDM's Tekla and Julia. Now, I think the one thing that kind of drew my attention about this is that I figured that this match was going to go to DDM due to the fact that Rina is not even on the same level as Julia or Tekla. But it was, of course, Julia that picked up the win when she applied the Bianca on Rina, and Rina had no other choice but to tap out. So they picked up. So the next match, we have Queen's Quest, consistent of Mayu Amasaki, Hina, Lady C, taking on Stars, Saida, Koguma, and Mayu Iwatani. Now, you probably can say this is going to be a much simpler match. It kind of was. No storytelling on this one. But in the end, it was Koguma with the diving body press onto, what's it, Lady C, I think? Onto Amasaki to pick up the win. Next up, we have a very interesting match. We have Yuna Mizumori and Natsupoi taking on Mega Bane and Mariah May. Now, interesting factor about this one is this. Mariah May would love nothing more to see Tam Nakano lose the red belt due to the fact that, of course, Mina is declaring Tam the worst person ever. But, of course, Tam will work her miracles as always. We have always seen her many times. She can pull off anything. But, however, you probably would have guessed this one would fall in favor of Megan Bane and, of course, Mariah May, because it was Megan to pick up the win by applying the F5 onto Mizumori. So basically, Mariah May is confident enough to believe that Megan will dethrone Tam Nakano once and for all. But she also is confident enough to believe that she and, of course, Mina will still retain the tag titles against Natsupoi and Sato Inoue. But we'll see what happens until we get there. Now, our next match, we have Mei Sita, Suzuki, and Maika taking on the members of God's Eye, consisting of Ami Studi, Saki Kashima, and Mirai. Now, this was another interesting matchup because I was wondering about this one. Recently, ever since Kashima picked up the high-speed title, Mei Sita has been asking for a match for this one. But sooner or later, I'm sure Mei Sita would definitely love to get her hands on this one. Because, of course, it was ironic how this match ended. It was Mei Sita who picked up the win on Kashima. Now, Kashima was stopping nothing to ensure this belt doesn't leave her possession. But it was Mei Sita that picked up a win. So that means at some point down the line, Saki Kashima may have no other choice but to give in to Mei Sita's demand for a shot at the high-speed belt. So, of course, Mei Sita picked up the win by applying the Rolling Star, and just like that, it's over. Now, let's start with the 5-star Grand Prix matches. Our first two matches are part of the Blue Stars block. Our first one, we have Hanan versus Mina Shirakawa. Now, last year, Hanan picked up a very upsetting win against Mina Shirakawa. I'm sure Mina hasn't forgotten. But Mina does have a bit of a soft spot towards Hanan because Hanan was her first opponent that she's ever faced when she arrived in Stardom back in 2020. And of course, Hanan, who has been considered many as the future ace of Stardom, right now she's having a hard time picking up wins. She's currently winless at this moment, but Mina Shirakawa picked up the win when she applied the figure 4 leg lock, and that was it. So Mina has a total of 4 points with just 2 wins. But however, I did mention she is confident to believe that she will walk out as the winner of this year's 5-star Grand Prix. But however, there are others that would say differently. Now, our next match involving the Blue Star blocks, we have Sareee Inoue and Azumi. Now, these two ladies are no strangers with each other. If you guys remember the history about Stardom and At-Risk Girls, those who don't know, let me explain it to you. At-Risk Girls and Stardom did have a bit of a working relationship many years ago. That's how, of course, Sareee Inoue met Kairi. And of course, Natsuko even met Kairi during that time. But of course, there are other wrestlers that they met at the time, such as Azumi was amongst them. There was a picture that I saw on Twitter where you see Azumi and Sareee together, like a tag team. But that's the thing of the past. But you probably would have thought that Sareee would walk out, but no. Azumi surprised everybody. This was, of course, Saree's first loss in this tournament. Because and this was Saree's first loss so far. She applied the Azumi Sushi just like that. So Inoue only has 1 win and 2 draws. So that's a total of 4 points. Azumi only has 2 points with just 1 win so far. Now let's jump into the Red Star block. Our first match, we have Natsuko Tora versus Suri. Now this is a very interesting matchup between these two. Natsuko Tora felt that, Suri should have minded her own business when, of course, Oedo Tai were beating the pounding hell out of Saki Kashima ever since they expelled her out of Oedo Tai. So basically, Natsuko Tora hasn't forgotten. But of course, like any other time with Oedo Tai, Natsuko Tora spit out her green mist right in the face of Suri and then applied the Swanton Bomb to pick up the win. So right now, Suri in the moment, I believe she may have, at this point, the lead with 6 points in the tournament. As for Suri, she only has 2 points. Now our next match is our main event. We have Azuki versus Tam Nakano. Now, if you guys remember last year's tournament, Azuki was undefeated until she was beaten by Saya Kamitani when she was still the white belt champion. However, I know for a fact Azuki will love nothing more to challenge for the red belt. If she picked up the win, that would have been something that would have been on her back pocket. But no, Tam Nakano, as always, never gave up. She always somehow pulls off the miracles until she applied the violent screwdriver, and just like that, she picked up the win. So she is currently a total of 4 points. So I mean, she only has 2 wins so far. But however, during the post-match, of course, she knows that she has a big, tough challenge ahead against Megan Bayne, and that's going to be something. Many people are saying that maybe she can pull off a miracle. We'll see how that turns out. That particular match will take place this coming weekend, and we'll see how that rolls. I think that's pretty much it for our Stardom stuff. So let's move on with New Japan. Okay, New Japan Pro Wrestling. We continue with more of the G1 Climax 33. Now, this is a very crucial one as well. This is the D block only matches we're going to focus on. We're not going to talk about the preview matches, but this is a very much important one in every capacity. Now, why is that I say that? This will determine who will be the next to participate in the quarterfinals. However, there's certain implications along the way for this particular match, these matches. Now, let's start with our first one. Our first one, we have, of course, Alex Coughlin taking on Toru Yano. Now, of course, like Alex Coughlin being a member of the Bullet Club War Dogs, his buddy, Gabe Kidd, decided to attack Yano. But they forget one thing. Yano knows how to be violent. If you guys remember, Yano used to be a violent guy when he had blonde hair. So don't underestimate him, because once in a while, that dark side of Yano will reappear out of his ugly rear head. And trust me, you don't want no part of it. But of course, moments we have saw, the ref was out, Gabe Kidd shows up. But it was Alex Coughlin with the jackhammer to pick up the win. However, Alex Coughlin ends his G1 tournament with 6 points, Yano with 4. So that means that they do not, neither men, advance into the quarterfinals. Now this one does have a crucial moment. Our next one, Shane Hayes versus Jeff Cobb. Now, Jeff Cobb, on the other hand, has 8 points. So if he wins this match, that means he goes into the quarterfinals. But however, if he doesn't win, then there's the possibility Zack Sabre Jr. will be going. Now, Shane Hayes is a member of TMDK, which of course, Zack Sabre Jr. is the frontman of that particular unit. But this is the one thing, it was very crucial. I don't think Shane Hayes cares about winning this match. All he's here is trying to ensure that Jeff Cobb does not get to the quarterfinals. That's his main job, and that's exactly what he did. He actually ended this match with a countout. And of course, he laughed, saying that he won. Now, he wasn't referring that he won the match. He's referring that he won because he did exactly what he was going to do, to ensure that Zack Sabre Jr., his pal, his mate, will definitely go to the quarterfinals. That is exactly what he was trying to do. And I'm sure if Jeff Cobb is so pissed that this happened, but it is what it is, and there's nothing he can do to change anybody's minds on that. Now, let's see. Oh yeah, this whole thing ends with, hold on, Jeff Cobb ends with 9 points, Hayes with 5 points. So that means they're out. Now our next match, we have Zack Sabre Jr. versus Hiroki Goto. This is going to be a much interesting dynamic. Now keep in mind, Zack Sabre Jr., one of the best technical wrestlers in the world. Of course, he was dubbed as the technical wizard. You probably would have assumed that he would stop at nothing to stop Goto in every aspect, but not to ensure, but also make sure Goto does not stop Zack Sabre Jr. in his tracks in order for him to go to the quarterfinals. But the one thing what was crazy is that he applied a submission move that it was so insane you probably would have gotten out of it no matter what he did. But Goto had no other choice but verbally surrender, saying that he's done, just like that. So Zack Sabre Jr. ends his tournament right here with 10 points, while Goto with only 6. Now our main event, we have Tetsuya Naito versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. These two guys are no strangers to each other. Now, if you guys remember history from many years ago, many fans did not like Naito due to the fact that he pinned Tanahashi, but since, you know, Naito came back from his excursion down in Mexico, he became a different person. So you probably would have thought, but however, both men are determined to win the G1 in order to go to Wrestle Kingdom, and I think that's one thing to have in mind. But in the end, it was of course Naito with a tornado DDT and an inside cradle who picked up the win against the Ace. But his goal now is to win the entire tournament, go to Wrestle Kingdom, win the IWGP World Heavyweight title, do the roll call, the LIJ roll call, and that was it. So we'll see how that rolls out for this one. I think that's pretty much it with New Japan. Let's move on with AEW Dynamite. Okay, AEW Dynamite. Now, it started out with the Jericho Appreciation Society's mandatory meeting. You saw all the members, Daddy Magic, Cool Hands, Ty Mello, Anna Jay, Jake Hager, Daniel Garcia, and of course Sammy Guevara. Now, in recent weeks, there's been a lot of unanswered questions that's been going on. Now, Jericho, as you know, has not been himself, so he felt that certain changes needs to arise since this happened. And of course, the opportunity arose when Don Callis offered him, "I want you to join my family." Now, Jericho is not the kind of guy we've known for many years to join a faction, but since the start of AEW, he formed factions. I mean, look, he had the Inner Circle, the Jericho Appreciation Society. So this is a very interesting thing, but their history shows that, of course, since these two men are Canadian, their history goes way back. But of course, throughout the entire meeting, one by one, everybody were walking out. Jake Hager, Ty, Anna Jay, Cool Hands, Daniel Garcia. But Sammy was the one who seems like he was loyal enough. But he said he wasn't going to walk out. But he did say to give him the heads up, whatever he decides. So basically, he's being a standout guy. But I don't know how his wife will take this, because I'm sure she's going to tell him that he has to sleep in the couch. But that's another conversation for another time. And of course, during the interview with Jericho, I think he's a bit mortified how this thing ends, but he has to move forward at the moment. Of course, Don Callis shows up to give his thoughts. Now, our first opening match, we have a pair of tag teams, of course, of sets of brothers. We have the Young Bucks versus the Hardys. Now, this is not the first time these guys have ever met. They have met before, prior to AEW. And I think I remember they had a tag team match with them for the ROH World Tag Team titles a couple years back. I remember, was it 2017, I think? But yes. But it's more like who's going to determine to become the best tag team in the world, especially if they're in a brothers type setting. And I thought that says it all. But in the end, it was, of course, the BTE trigger on Matt Hardy that put away everything, giving Matt Jackson to pick up the win. However, there is still the unanswered question that we were expecting. Will the Young Bucks accept the challenge by FTR, their rubber match? Now, keep in mind, both teams, there's 1-on-1. FTR has one on them. The Young Bucks have one. But a week ago, last, I think in Collision, it was, of course, FTR that suggested, let's have a rubber match. And that's exactly what transpired. So the obvious thing that it tells us, will they accept it? And this match will take place later on this month at Wembley Stadium. So we're looking forward to that. And of course, the Bucks actually call them out. FTR comes out. They accepted the challenge. Just like that. Now, we do see a little nice video package from MJF and Adam Cole going into a trampoline park. And of course, MJF played a little dodgeball, took out many of the kids. And one thing that was funny, this brought me back to when Triple H was looking for Shawn Michaels at that corporate office, but he ended up in the cafeteria. If you guys remember, there was that scene where there was that one little girl that always gets on Shawn Michaels' nerves. There was this one kid who said a bunch of nerds. Adam Cole tried to be nice to her until she pulled out the finger. And of course, Adam Cole says, you know what? One more. So MJF says, thank God. So he just whacked her with the ball. You don't actually see it, but you can imagine, like, it's almost a similar setting to what Shawn Michaels did with that little girl. But yeah. Now, our next match is the FTW Championship. Jungle Jack, Jack Perry, actually, this is his first title defense against Rob Van Dam, RVD. Now, keep in mind, ever since Jack Perry won this title from Hook, Jack has been disrespectful to the entirety of the ECW lineage. And of course, guys like Rob Van Dam is not going to let that happen. I know Taz, who is watching this, who's disappointed how things turned out bad, knowing that his son did not retain the title. But in the process, you know for a fact that he will laugh his ass off seeing Rob Van Dam beating the crap out of him. You know that's what he would love to see. However, Jack Perry threw a chair right at the referee and all this and that. Rob Van Dam would have won this match, but of course there was no disqualification match in FTW rules match. It was Jack with the low blow, then toss him through the chair, and then of course a roll up with the grabbing of the tights to retain the title, which really was a disappointing thing. But however, I'm sure Taz will, hoping that some way, somehow, someone will dethrone Jack Perry from this title somewhere. But yeah. Now, we do get a little interview with the Lucha Brothers by Renee Paquette. As you know, Pac is out thanks to the brutal attack of the BCC. So this is basically unfinished business with them. So that kind of sets it in, but they will have their match a little later on. So we'll get to that. Now, our next promo, we see Adam Cole and MJF having a little blast in their doing a little promo and all this and that. Because as you know, MJF declared that Adam Cole will be his opponent for Wembley Stadium and All In. So that's going to be interesting. But however, Roderick Strong even shows up who's been disgusted with what's been happening, transpired between both MJF and Adam Cole. And of course, MJF being the disrespectful prick that he is, he opened his mouth and this and that. But the most shocking development is the Kingdom, who came to comfort Roderick Strong. Now, there is history between the Kingdom and Adam Cole. Now, if you guys remember clearly, Adam Cole was a member of the Kingdom before he ever joined the Bullet Club and all this other stuff. But sooner or later, this was gonna happen. Now, our next match, we have, of course, the BCC versus the Lucha Brothers. This one was going to be a bit more violent, but of course, that Weasel Wheeler Yuta showed up to ensure that this match goes to the BCC, but it did not stop there. But of course, they removed Penta Mask, knowing that he has no other choice but to try to cover his face, and it did work. But of course, they continued to beat down on the Lucha Brothers to send a direct message why they are the most dominating team ever. So that's a real statement. Now, Alex Marvez did manage to catch Kenny Omega. As you know, he did mention about the Bucks having their match with FTR at Wembley Stadium. But the obvious question is, what's next for Kenny? Well, Kenny did stated that he does have a big interview with good old JR, and he's going to plan to discuss about Takeshita and, of course, Wembley Stadium. So that is something that, but of course, we have to watch that interview with JR soon enough. Now, we do get a little promo with Swerve Strickland and, of course, Mogul Embassy. As you know, with they're saying that they are above the law, that they are the ones that run AEW. But Darby Allin shows up, saying that whatever they think of him, that, Darby Allin left behind AR Fox. But of course, Darby said, you were dealing with your own demons, you were the one who helped yourself. But he said he still respects him no matter what, but he is not going to tolerate with his betrayal. But he did say that he sees, of course, AR with some friends, but he said he has friends too. And of course, Swerve confident enough to say, I killed all their friends. Well, they missed one. Lights turned off, and they turned back on. It's Sting! That's right, Sting shows up after a while we haven't seen him. He took care of business. And of course, Darby chased AR Fox, but however, Swerve Strickland got the bat right in the gut. But of course, Sting told him what he wants. He told him by looking up into the rafters, and there's the poster of All In. And you know what that means. That means he wants this to happen there. So that's going to be a killer match. And it was later official that, of course, Darby Allin will team up with Sting to take on Swerve and AR Fox at Wembley Stadium. So that's going to be great. Now, our main event features the AEW Women's World Title. We have the challenger, Anna Jay, versus Hikaru Shida. Now, these two ladies are no strangers to each other. Now, Anna Jay claimed that she feels the only reason that she lost was because she believes that Hikaru Shida took advantage of her rookiness. Now, keep in mind, she did put up good matches against Hikaru Shida, despite the fact that she lost. But she's confident enough to believe that she will walk out as the women's champion. But she applied the Queen Slayer on many occasions. But it was Shida that took out Anna Jay with the katana and retained the titles. But however, she will be heading to Wembley Stadium to be part of a four-way match. And it's already been told that Toni Storm is officially in that, since she cashed in her rematch clause. But there will be two matches that will implicate that one to be involved. Sareee will be facing against Sky Blue. And of course, we have Britt Baker versus, I forgot who else is going to be involved. But yes, so we'll get to that at some other point. But for right now, I think we end AEW right here. So let's move on with our final thing, which is news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So this is what we have for all of you. Now, for our GCW updates, two things have been added. for the homecoming show, which is going to be night 1 on the 19th of August. Match has been set. We have Matt Tremont taking on Violento Jack, who was announced recently to be participating in this show. Now, for the Germany update, they'll take place in September, which is next month. Our current GCW World Champion, Blake Christian, will be involved in both shows. Now, Canadian promotion Nation Extreme Wrestling announced for their 2nd year anniversary show that will take place on the 9th of September. Of course, fellow Canadian and current New Japan star El Phantasmo will be participating in this show. So this is going to be great. I can't wait to see it. Good news for AEW fan base. As you know, during November we have the latest pay-per-view, Full Gear. The next pay-per-view will be taking place in LA at the Forum Kiram down in Inglewood. This is the same location where I went to see AEW earlier this year. This will take place on the 19th or 18th? On the 18th of November or so. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to go. I'm still debating about it, but we'll see. It all depends on how the tickets are. So we'll see. Now, our 31st entrant for the All-Star Junior Festival USA that will take place on the 19th of August, it was announced that Cheeseburger will participate. So yeah. Now, interesting developments in the deathmatch world. The deathmatch samurai Akira announced on his Twitter page that he'll be making his way to Big Japan Pro Wrestling real soon. I have to say, this is going to be awesome for him to be involved in these type of matches. I'm sure this was a big dream come true for him to go to Big Japan. I would have assumed he would have gone with Freedoms, but Big Japan does have some interesting death matches along the way. Now, Fightful Select put out a very interesting article about Zack Sabre Jr. turning down contracts with all major American companies. Now, this is not the first time Zack Sabre Jr. has done that. I mean, he did get an offer with WWE during the time of the Cruiserweight Classics, but he turned them down because they wouldn't give him the one thing he wanted, which was, of course, continue to wrestle during the independents, but they said no. So, whatever reason was, he feels more happier that he turned them down. But eventually, of course, Zack Sabre Jr. may have to consider giving the American promotions an opportunity. So, we'll see how that goes. Now, if you guys remember clearly, this one was reported by Fightful Select about Sareee. Sareee, as you know, has her sights set on the IWGP Women's Championship. But however, she said that, yes, I am ready, but I don't think Stardom is ready for me yet. We'll see. However, back in 2020, there was supposed to be a match between Sareee and, of course, Mayu Iwatani, but that never happened. But the obvious thing is, can it happen sooner? Well, we'll see on that day. Tetsuya Naito, as you know, recently at the Forbidden Door, he made his appearance. He had this to say about that. I was excited by the spectacular staging and production of AEW. I wanted to show LIJ on this high-profile stage. If I ever compete in AEW ever again, I would like them to book me a match with LIJ. So it appears that Naito feels more happier in what he saw in AEW. So I'm sure Tony Khan will love nothing more to see Naito come up. I mean, Naito was one of those wrestlers at the first Forbidden Door I was hoping he would appear, but showing up at the second made it a whole lot more better. So only time will tell. Now, an interesting development on Twitter that was told. Kenoh has revealed his top 3 Joshi wrestlers. Now, you probably say, really? Top 3? That's interesting. So this is who he picked. First place, it's Azumi from Stardom. And this is what he had to say about her. A wrestler with a match is worth watching, depending on the skill of the opponent. She will make her own moves to make a quality match. I'm a fan of her. I give him thumbs up on that. Second place is Chihiro Hashimoto, a professional wrestler must be strong. She is top wrestler who embodies that strength. She's got a good match. Then finally, Mayu Iwatani as third place. I have wrestled against her. She is sexy when she gets kicked. I think she is the kind of wrestler you want to root for even if she gets beat up. I mean, that's kind of weird, but that's Kenoh's opinion. I mean, Kenoh, he plays like a major badass in Noah, but when it comes to outside, he always has opinions about certain things. And, you know, I've always feel like he has some good opinions. Some like, okay, you know, like that. But anyway, now our final update here. I want to say congratulations to Rhea Ripley and Buddy Matthews on their engagement. So this is very interesting news. We didn't know when was this going to happen, but of course, as you know, Buddy Matthews is a member of the House of Black in AEW, and Rhea Ripley killing it right now in the main roster with Judgment Day and that storyline with Dominic. So we'll see how this is going to turn out, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So I think that's pretty much it for right now. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode coming up. I was originally going to put day 6 of the Stardom 5-star Grand Prix, but however, due to my time limit, I'm unable to do that. But I will be able to do it soon enough. Don't forget, we do have MLW, Impact Wrestling, and Ring of Honor. Oh yeah, and of course the G1 continuing on. We have some quarterfinal matches involved, but we'll get to all of that as soon as possible. But we'll see how this day turns out. But at the time, we'll just leave it as that. But until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.